Doo-doops.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Annie.
And it's me, Peter.
Even if you're just a casual or a mobile game player, you can join us every week while we rant, rave, and ramble about games we like.
Or maybe we don't like.
So, the time again is to ask, what is this game?
It is Beyond All Reason, affectionately known as Bar.
So, Peter, you kind of introduced me to this game, Bar. We'll just call it Bar because there's no reason to call it Beyond All Reason. It'll be in the
Mhm.
title and anyone can know what it is, and we'll reference it a couple of times, but we're just going to call it Bar because it's easier. So you got me into Bar and you kind of told me about it. So why don't you tell the audience about it?
Sure. So, Bar is the spiritual successor to games like Total Annihilation and Supreme Commander, and it is basically a not grand, because that has different connotations, but it is a pretty big RTS game standing for real time strategy. So, basically, you build little bases, you attack with little units, and you try to knock each other's bases out. And the twist on this, which is different from like games like Command and Conquer or Age of Empires, is you have a special unit called a commander. And basically, once you kill the commander, the game is over. The team with the last commander standing wins.
So it's like your main character,
Basically, like this is like you. Yeah, I would
your
say
hero or whatever. Yeah, you're king if you're playing chess. You can't
so. Yeah,
lose this character.
there is a mode I think in Age of Empires called Regicide, where it's basically the same thing. You have a king unit, and if you kill everybody else's kings, you win the game. So it's basically that.
It's pretty cool. I've only played a couple of RTSs in the past. None of the ones you've listed. Um, it was Supreme Commander, and which I don't even know if it was really an RTS, but and then the other one was Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2. But
Mhm.
those are kind of more arcadey than RTS. It's more just build some units and go have them fight each other. There's not a whole lot of strategy to the game. Oh wait,
I
I played uh,
Go ahead.
Tiberian Wars, whatever game that
Oh,
was.
that was commanding. That was part of the Command and Conquer series.
Okay, maybe I did play the one then.
Hmm. Command and Conquer had a few spin-offs like Red Alert and Tiberium Wars and things of that nature. So, yeah, you're there with me, Annie. You're part of the crew.
Okay, cool. Well, I
You're
guess
in the squad.
you're like, hey, we should play this game. So I looked up a couple of honestly hours of material because I didn't want to go into the game and have to have you give me a whole hour, 2 hour tutorial and kind of
Mhm.
just slow down the playing of the game. So I learned, okay, these are the basic units. This is kind of what you need to do in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. If you're not doing this, you're going to fall behind. You should make sure to do this. So I think it really helped me because when in our first game, you're like, okay, so you're going to want to do this. And I was already starting to do it, which kind of made me feel good because I didn't have to be babied necessarily.
Right. And I've definitely had to baby a lot of people playing this game because strategy games are not very popular. So a lot of my friends are like, I don't know, I don't wanna, but what if I? And I'm just like, just do it. Build the bots. Kill the commander. Do it. Do it. And it was very refreshing to have you not need your handheld for a lot of the teaching part of this. and I was just basically teaching you like more advanced mechanics. Whereas like other people, I was like, you click, you right click, you got to right
Yeah,
click,
right click to move. You ever play
right click to
League?
move. It's like, and these are people that have played League that I'm teaching them, and it's like,
Hmm.
come on, guys, get it together. But so bar has been a really cool experience for me because I've never been very competitive when it came to my RTSs. I just kind of played them for fun against AI and just goofed around. I've never been one to like, oh, I'm going to compete against real people and I'm going to beat them. And, it's like the competitive mindset I used to have for Halo and for Call of Duty.
Hmm.
Like, I'm going to kick some ass. It's transferred now into an RTS and I'm super excited about it. And when it comes to bar, it's the perfect RTS for it, for me anyways, because there's so many levels and depth of strategy and like different things you can do. Because there's the one level where it's like, oh, I just got to build units and I got to turn things out. But then there's the mechanic for radar and radar jamming, which basically you build a little radar, and if the enemy is in the green circle, it just must explain for people that don't understand.
No,
Sorry.
it's important. Yeah, go ahead.
So, no, I'm just like, I gotta slow down my brain because I'm thinking too quick now. But like the radar will spawn a green circle and it's obscured by like terrain and things of that nature. So if an enemy, even if you can't see him, shows up in the green circle, you can still kind of see him. You get a red dot, and that's like, oh, there's an enemy there. And you can shoot at that red dot, even though you don't have a line of sight and you can't like actively see him.
Yeah, you can't target it, but hey, it's over there, so you can shoot at the ground or shoot at the air over there.
Mm. And then you have radar jammers, which are like, oh, you have a radar? Well, I'm going to make this little circle right here radar proof so you can't see my stuff.
Radar proof except for stationary encampments like turrets, upgrades, solar
Yes.
farms, all of those. If your radar or somebody sees it, it's permanently seen until it gets destroyed because it's pretty safe to assume they're not going to move their turrets because
You
they can't do
can
that.
move the turret, though.
You can?
You can get a transport and move the turrets.
Wow, that's pretty sneaky.
Right? So I remember one time I was playing against a friend in the early days of me playing this game, and I set up like a little landing zone and I put turrets around it. Like I moved turrets that I built in my base and I moved it over to my landing zone and I had them defend while my troops were landing. And my friend was like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it.
There is so many strategies, and they all are completely varied based on the map that you're playing.
Mm.
Just today, we played 2 different maps before we recorded, and one of them was essentially a moon. It's just kind of like a moon shape. You start either on the top of the moon or the bottom of the moon, and you can either go around the moon or you can try to cross from the bottom of the moon to the top of the moon by there's like water and mountains and stuff. So if you had more advanced mobile units, you could go over that way, which is a much more direct route, but a little bit more dangerous.
Mm.
So at the beginning, the enemy that we were fighting started sending them around the ring because it was really fast for them to get around that way. But not even 10 minutes into the game, they were just sending them straight to us, and we had to really hunker down because the enemy definitely was catching us off guard. They were sending like one unit to go kill our metal extractors, which is the device that you use to, well, you use it to extract metal. That's pretty self-explanatory. In the game, there's three measurements of power. You have metal, which you use to build things, obviously. You have power, which you use to power things that need to build things. And you have the third, which is kind of like a hybrid arbitrary mechanic called build power.
It's the hidden third resource that only more seasoned players really know about.
It really divides what you can and can't do. In other RTSs, you want to have multiple factories because they all just have, okay, this is how long this is how long it'll take to crank it out, and this is how much it costs, and that's basically it. You just
Right.
have it go on autopilot, and it just keeps spitting them out at that amount at that currency. But in bar, you have to have build power, which is essentially, think of a big funnel. If you have a big funnel and you're pouring your metal and you're pouring your power in there, you have to funnel it into your factory, but it can only go in so far. But you can keep shoving different funnels in there. You can keep shoving as many funnels as you want into that factory, and that'll help the resources go in there faster. But if you only have one funnel, then it's not going to build anything very fast. And sometimes it could take minutes on minutes on minutes to build even the simplest unit if you don't have enough build power. You can have plenty of metal and plenty of electricity, but if you don't have build power, your stuff isn't going anywhere.
Right. So I've always thought about it like adding hoses to a bucket.
That's
like
a good yeah, exactly. That's good too.
Like I'm trying to fill the bucket and I got one hose, and this hose is only going to fill up like 5 ounces a second. But if I add
I
like
can fill it up to maximum, but it'll only
like
yeah,
it's
put
going
in
to
10
fill up really quick.
hoses.
Exactly. So like a lot of times people on the Discord, which is another really great thing about this game, is the community behind it is really amazing. They're a little toxic when you play with them, but when you go on the Discord and you try to ask for help, there's hundreds of people willing to help you and discuss strategies and help new players and teach new players. And I think the developers, including one of them, the community lead, PTAC, is super on top of leading what they call clinic days, which is basically like they get everybody into a Discord call and they just play a game and they teach everybody how to play. They teach everybody the basics.
That's pretty awesome. The YouTube community also seems really good. I watched just a couple of hours of video last week to get ready for this episode, and now my YouTube videos are just constantly recommending me, hey, look at this. Hey, look at this. Hey, have you seen this unit? Oh, look what this unit can do. And I'm just like, I don't have enough time to watch all these videos. I'm really interested in it. I'm still watching the unit tutorial list that you sent me. That's like an hour and 55 minutes.
Oh yeah, the unit thesaurus that I sent you.
Yeah, the unit thesaurus. Peter sent me a video, and it's literally an hour and 55 minutes where a guy goes through not everything in the game, just the units for one of the 2 factions that you can play as. So they're like, okay, so this is the tier 1 bot factory. Here's all the bots. Here's what they can do. Here's what they can't do. Here's what they're good at. Here's what they're bad at. And he goes through all of the units, and just the tier 1 bot factory took like 35 minutes. And I'm like, I didn't even know what this unit did. So I'm glad that I'm watching this, because the game tries to give you a lot of info. There's a lot of little boxes and stats that pop up. But if you don't know what the terminology means, it doesn't really help you. For example, there's a unit called the Gunslinger, I believe, in tier 2, and it's called it has fast learning as one of its attributes. And well, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean it gets smarter and it fights better? Well, technically, yes, because the game has an experience system whenever your enemies fight you and vice versa. And if your bot doesn't get destroyed in the fight and they win, they get a little bit of experience points so they can be a veteran unit, which gives them certain upgrades and more health, more damage. It makes them a lot more of a threat because they've earned the right to get that upgrade. So the Gunslinger is fast learning. The more the Gunslinger kills, it has to kill less to get those veteran upgrades. But if you don't know about these other systems, you just look at fast learning and like, I don't know what that means. Does it mean it's easy for me to learn the bot? It could. The Gunslinger is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is there's mechanics that you don't know. Like, I think the Gunslinger has impulse, which
impulse, yeah.
Which a lot of people are like, what is that? That doesn't even show up on the unit description. And impulse is basically like, I shoot the unit goes slow now.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell you in the game what the percentage is, because it doesn't tell you that this exists really. But if you shoot a group of enemies and they get hit by the concussive force of the Gunslinger's bullets, then they will be temporarily slowed down and they won't be able to walk as fast. Which is very valuable if you have other units like a welder who can come in and shoot lightning and hit like 6 units at a time.
Hmm.
So if you have a gunslinger and a welder together, it can be really easy to clear up groups of units that would have normally swarmed on you because the pawns and the sprinters are really fast.
It's definitely crazy, and like learning the keywords because everything is done in keywords is super important. It almost feels like magic.
Oh,
It almost
definitely,
feels like
yeah.
Magic the Gathering because I remember what used to trip me up was some units were stealthy, and I was like,
Mhm.
"What does that mean?" Like, I can still see them; they're not very stealthy. Like, I send it into the base, and it still goes boom. And stealthy basically means they're immune from radar detection, which
Right.
is like, what? That's so cool.
So as long as they don't physically get seen,
You're not gonna get seen.
yeah.
Like I know the tier two
Ghost bot,
fighters have that.
the tier 2 fighters have stealth.
Hmm.
Wow, that's impressive. I'll have to
Hmm.
look into building some of those.
And for the uninitiated, I'm going to explain like what it means when we say tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 is basically like your bread and butter. This is where you start. This is where you're starting the game, and your first objective on top of holding the front line and not dying is you want to get to tier 2 as quickly as possible. But not super quickly because some a lot of people who have played games like Total Annihilation and Supreme Commander have noted that if you try to tech up too early and your economy isn't built for it, your economy will not support your new tier 2 aspirations. So basically, you got to spend like 5 minutes building your economy, getting units to the front, get everything, and then you can tier 2. And now your tier 2 units are your little bit better units. They're a little bit tougher, they're a little more expensive, but they're definitely worth the price. And teching up to tier 2 will definitely get you the upper hand on your opponent if they're not expecting it. And then you have your tier 3, which is like your god units. You have your Thor, which is like a big lightning tank. You have your Juggernaut, which is like the ultimate unit in the game. It's the big battle mech that the Cortex have. And then you got random things like Marauders. Marauders are really cool because they're like little plasma bots that can swim underwater and surprise your enemy. And
Ooh, that's cool.
your tier three is where you want to end up at the end of the game. You want to be
If
building
you don't already beat them by that point,
if
yes.
you don't already beat them by that point. Like I know you and I have played a lot of bot games, and we usually win in the tier two
Mhm.
mid game area. But like when I've played competitively with other people, it's turned into a slog fest of like you have 4 juggernauts, I have 5 juggernauts and a Thor. It just becomes like the game the game flows from like a little bit of units, massive amounts of units, and then it ticks back down to like, well, now I have like 4 super units.
There's a lot of bell curves in the game.
Hmm. There was like the nuke bell curve that I taught you about, where it's like low level players like building nukes a lot because everybody forgets to build anti nukes in the low levels. And then in the mid tier, nobody builds anti nukes or nukes anymore because everybody remembers to build anti nuke. And then higher tier players will rush nukes out, and everybody's like, "Wow, I didn't get my anti nuke up yet. Wow, that really devastated me. Oh, holy shit! Whoa!" And it's just super impressive to watch people like Blackwater and Winter Gaming and different bigger players of this game play because they have turned this into what I assume. Was that a fly on my screen?
No, it's a fly in mine.
Oh my god! These higher level players have just turned this game into an art form for me. So I watch them and I'm like, I want to get to that level one day. It's like being a kid and watching your MLG pros play Call of Duty.
Yep, I remember that. Yep. Looking at some of these people and just there. Uh, I think the biggest skill gap is definitely learning your macros and quick keybinds and stuff like that. The
Definitely.
faster, I mean, it's called APM, it's actions per minute. The higher your APM is will really matter at the end of higher tier gaming because everything is real time. So everything is happening at the same time. There's no downtime except for the first 2 seconds of the game.
Yeah,
As
the
soon
first
as the
30
first
seconds.
as soon as the first thing goes up, stuff is happening. As soon as your commander gets on the field, The game starts.
Hmm.
And if you didn't already queue up your commander to do things, you're going to need to pay attention and already be doing that. And, so it's really how fast you can do things is how I think is what sets people apart. The barbarian AI are so much faster than the simple AI. They get vehicles sent at you before you have a couple of units on the field, and you're like, ah.
That was definitely my problem when I was first playing, because I came at it like a very Age of Empires, because I grew up on Age of Empires. So I came up at it like, oh, build little base and then send units to other little base. But that's not how Bar is played. You got to go to the middle of the map and meet your enemy head on and just form a front line and take all the resource
War of
spots.
attrition.
Definitely. Like, it is definitely a different beast than what I was used to when I started.
The second game we played before we recorded was like a whole hour, which is the longest game we've played, because the map was perfectly divided. They had just as many advantages as we did. There was no, I mean, some of the maps are the same way, but some of them, like the one we played before that with the moon, I think we had the better side of the map. But the map we played on right before that is just, there's a donut canyon in the middle, and then outside of the donuts is like a tray, and that's where the bases are, is on the tray. So the donut is just in the middle, and then there's the bases over here, and you have to go through the donut to get to either of the bases. And as soon as I got my bot factory up, I was just putting out hundreds of pawns, and I'm just like, I don't care how many the enemy kills, I'm not letting them get past onto our tray. That's not happening.
And that's definitely how I've learned to play like bigger games against like actual people. It's unit spam. You gotta like set your lab on repeat, which is a thing you can do, which I think is amazing. Is you can just hit a button and your labs, stuttering, your labs will just build what you told it to build over and over and over and over and over again until you tell it to stop. As long as it has the resources, the build power, all that good stuff, it'll keep chunking out units. And that's typically how it gets done in PvP. It's just, you just send units. It doesn't matter how many die because you got 5 more coming up. And that's why I think the veterancy system is kind of weird. It's kind of misplaced, I feel, because like I have never had a pawn make it to like triple star, like super duper cool guy rank.
Maybe you just need to carry more Lazaruses around.
Maybe. And I feel like the bonuses for veterancy aren't strong enough for people to really know. Like I remember in what was it, Command and Conquer Generals, you could get your guys to like rank 3, and like it was very noticeable when they were rank 3. Their weapon, their firing animation changed. Like they would shoot red bullets instead of white bullets, and it was very different. And they did a lot more damage. It was noticeable. But here, like I can get to like rank 10 on my unit, and it's like, okay, he's not really influencing the fight too hard. I love that it's there.
I totally agree what you mean. Yeah.
I love that it's there. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think this is the right game for it. So, I mean, like the meta is like waves of fodder. So, I don't know. It's cool. Maybe I'm playing wrong, but
well, were your artillery people on the last game that we played, were they not ranked up?
Oh, my snipers, I didn't even check because it's such a thing I don't care about. But I should have looked at that. Maybe I'll look at the replay later and see.
You probably had to have, because you had a line of snipers behind my infantry the entire game.
So basically, like Annie had like her little grunt soldiers up at the front, and I had like my cool guy snipers in the back, and they were just like picking off things that were a little too far away from the pawns, or a little too hard for the pawns to really get rid of in a couple seconds.
Yeah, because most of the enemy's units were outranging me because they had vehicles. They had sometimes tier 2 units, which fortunately the snipers could one-shot as long as they land a hit on them.
Oh, snipers are ridiculous. Most people, like I've been watching tier lists for the units, and everybody is like, sniper is god tier unit. Like if you're not building a sniper, you're losing the game.
What's
Because
the cooldown for them to shoot?
it's got to be like 5 seconds,
Okay, it's not too long.
and it has an energy cost of 500 energy a shot.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So like if you
Where
are
do they pull that energy from? The stars?
yeah, basically they got like a little. So what happens is they have a little cord on the bottom of their right foot, and it's basically hooked up to one of your wind turbines, and it's they just
Nice.
drag it along with them.
That's why they're so slow.
That's why they're so slow, because they're dragging this long ass cable with them. And that's the thing too, is I feel like a lot of the game is really balanced. Like I know I just said snipers are a god unit, but like snipers with no support die super quickly.
They have no escape. As soon as their gun is down, they don't have a secondary, they don't have a pistol, they don't have like flak, they don't have smoke screen, they don't have a retreat button, they don't have anything like that. If you send 3 tier 2 units at a sniper, one sniper, it's going to kill one of them instantly. And then if the sniper doesn't die, he's going to kill another one. But there's no way he's going to get the third one before they have chunked him down.
Exactly. And the other cool thing about the sniper is I believe he can turn invisible. So he can like negate your line of sight, but he can still be detected by radar. So what a lot of people,
okay, I misspoke then. I didn't know that.
No, but it is kind of like you can burst a sniper down. If he doesn't have his radar unit and he doesn't have his jammer with him, he is a sitting duck because his line of sight is very short compared to his range. So like there's this big chunk of like space where you cannot see what's coming at you unless you have your support. So a lot of people will like Juno the sniper ball that forms.
And what's a Juno?
Oh, yes. So a Juno is your anti-radar, anti-jammer, it almost feels like anti-everything. So it's anti-mines, anti-scout units, anti-jammer, and anti-radar. So it's it's
pretty
little
powerful.
tower. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And like the thing is like you don't
I need to
know
start
about
building
it.
them then.
Like you don't know about them as a newer player. You just kind of look at it as like anti-radar, anti-jammer, anti-everything, and it's like I don't know how that works. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it alone. Whatever. And then when you get to like rank 15 and up, people are using Junos a little more aggressively, so they'll hit the front lines. And now you've lost your radar and your jammer, so you can't see me, and I can see you.
So it turns back on the fog of war.
Exactly. So what a lot of people will do is they'll hit the center of the sniper ball with the Juno missile, and that'll basically knock out the radar bot and the jammer bot. So they can't see, and I can
The
see.
Juno is a missile launcher?
The Juno is a missile launcher with infinite range. You could build it on one corner of the map, and it'll hit whatever's on the other corner of the map.
So it's just a little missile launcher turret that shoots a blackout zone?
Basically. It's like, it's like a nuke silo, but instead of shooting nukes, it shoots like anti-radar.
That's really cool. I want to try those next game.
Oh, they're very cool. They're very useful. And like when people don't know about them, it's very powerful. Because like I've had games where I just built a Juno early in my build order, and I'm just repeatedly shooting Junos where I think the enemy has a radar, and it just keeps knocking out the radar. And it makes an area of 15 seconds where you can't build a radar.
Ooh, that's nice.
And the best part about it too is it kills scout units in that area.
Oh,
so like your ticks, your rovers, your rascals, anything that has high line of sight and is labeled a scout unit is going to die in that area of effect.
It just dies?
It just dies instantly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So like a big higher level tactic is the tick spam, where the people will pop down 4 bot labs and just pump out ticks to overwhelm you. And basically you just dump that Juno right in the path of those ticks, and they die the second they enter.
Wow, that's quite a strategy.
So it's just everything is balanced. Everything has its counter. I just love this game. I love this game so much. I've spent so much time
Me too. I'm really loving it too. It's a good time.
I've spent so much time being angry because I spent so much time researching this game and learning how to play and learning the meta and learning how everything works, and then I get into a team that's just like, it's my first time playing. I'm gonna play. Oh, I built 3 bot labs, and I'm like, what? Why?
What do
Why?
you do with those?
Why are you doing this to me? It's like, I'm gonna front, but I'm not gonna build any turrets. I'm just gonna. Like, what are you doing? And what I love is the people that get mad at you for doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I had a guy that So could you pull up on the little thing in the center? Could you pull up information and then maps?
Go to
Up
the
at the
maps. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are we looking for?
We're gonna look for one of the most popular maps. It's called Supreme Straits.
So for the audio listener, we're looking at the website right now, and it has like a very detailed map list of basically all the maps on the game, and you can click on them, and they're not necessarily fully interactive, but there is a ton, and you can kind of see what they look
One
like
more?
before you go into
Right
them.
there. So this is your bread and butter
gorgeous.
map. This is your bread and butter map. This is where everybody goes to do the 8v8s. This is like the League of Legends map. So if you
Because
see,
there's like the one lane down the middle here, and then on
Mhm.
both of the sides, there's water, which makes most units impassable.
Mhm.
This
So
seems like a cool map. I'd like to try this one out.
Oh yes, we can definitely do that after this. That would be awesome. Can we make that one bigger and us small?
This one bigger and us small, yeah.
So basically, you have everywhere you see triple dots is your starting point. So you have 2 in the back on the canyon cliff area, you have 2 for the sea, and then you have 4 for the center.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's over here, yep.
Mm.
There's a ton of, so this is like an 8v8 map?
Yes,
Oh,
typically.
wow. So how does the 8v8 work? Like, are there roles or classes, or what is necessarily a strategy? Since you and I have only played bot games, and I haven't played this game by myself yet, I have
Mm.
obviously no experience in the PvP realm.
So basically, your strategy and your roles will vary based on the map. So you have your 2 guys in the back, they're going to be your back line on the little cliff. And they are going to, one is going to play air and just build air units. And their role is to create a fighter wall, which is a technical term for just like a bunch of fighters patrolling in a line so that bombers can't get through. And then he's going to build his own bombers to try and break through. He's going to try and build gunships to support your, in case there's a breakthrough on the front line. And he's going to scout. That's his 4 jobs. Most people just build the fighter wall because no one does the research that I do. But that's okay. As long as you build the fighter wall, you're good. There's your 2 sea lanes. So their jobs are to contest the sea. And once they win sea, they have to support the front line any way they can. They can take out the 2 support players.
This is where the front line would be, right here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So they take out the front line, or they take out the guys supporting the front line, or they can, whatever. They've won their lane, they have all that space, they can figure out what they want to do. A lot of people will just send what is called a flagship, which is your big bad battleship, and just shell everything. And then you have your 2 frontline positions, which are the front line. You hold, you build units, you build turrets, you basically don't let the enemy through.
Mm-hmm.
It's where a lot of new players go to die. This is where we send the fodder. And you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to play frontline. That is where you learn how to play.
Yeah, that's where you learn movement. That's where you learn what is happening, which units to look out for. The only way to learn is trial by fire.
Exactly. Like a lot of players, like a lot of like less than 10 rank players, like to just be like, oh, I'm gonna go air. You don't know what you're doing yet. You know, you gotta do your time on the front, and it's okay. We've all been there, but you're never gonna learn unless you go on the front. And then there's times where you gotta say like, oh, I want to learn how to do air, and then you gotta take your turn to do air.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, and then there's the two behind the front, which are basically like flex support. They support the front however they can. They try to tech up to tier 2 as quickly as possible, give the front line their tier 2s because they're too focused on like killing each other in the front. They don't have time to like stop production, tech up, and then start again. There's no
Right,
time.
because you have the option in team play to transfer ownership of units to another ally.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people will set up what is called a shop, and they'll basically sell you a tier 2 constructor for about 400 metal. Obviously, you know, it's hard to get exactly 400 metal, so you just give whatever you can. A lot of people don't like to nickel and dime you. I had one guy that actually did, and I was like, wow, come on, dude.
I'm sorry I sent you 396. My mistake.
No, like I sent him 200 because I was really struggling in my metal department.
Oh, it's even worse.
Lane, and
what
he
an
was like,
asshole.
owe me 200 more. And I was like, no one has ever done that to me. That is so wow.
That's
Okay,
petty.
dude. That is so petty. And you know, I'm not gonna drop his username or anything because it's just whatever. But like, I remember telling that guy, you are so petty, and so you're just not a team player. He also complained about everything everybody did, and I was like, oh. And so what does that leave? And that leaves, so you got the two in the front, the two behind, the two C lanes, the air player, and then you have the economy player, which basically his job is you want to build up your economy until you get to tier 3. And you're basically
So you're not even building units?
Not really.
Okay, only units to defend yourself immediately.
Basically.
Gotcha.
You're in the back of the game. You're on the little like orange cliffs. So nothing is supposed to get to you.
Gotcha. So you're like back here.
Yeah. So that's where the air player goes, and that's where the econ player goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, like, you share your excess resources with your team. So like your job is to produce a bunch of resources so you can share it with your team, and then tech up to tier 3, and then you just send a 15-minute juggernaut across the strait. And everybody's like, whoa, oh, I didn't see. Whoa, okay.
How the hell do we deal with this besides degunning it with our commander? Because the commander, your main character unit, it's, you know, it has a decent amount of health and it has a good amount of build power. So it's able to put up turrets and help out your builders. And it's not a worthless little unit. It's not just a helpless thing, especially in combat.
King. That guy is useless.
Exactly. Especially in combat, though, because it's got a regular, just kind of a laser assault rifle, and then it's got its disintegrator gun, which is it's a command you have to do. Doesn't just automatically happen. You click it and you get it ready, and you target an enemy, and it does unlimited damage.
For 500 energy, you can kill any unit in the game.
And actually, it's not a joke. It's literally unlimited damage. It literally will kill anything in one hit.
They have an approximation of how much damage it does because it's computers, so you got to put in a value. But I think the damage that it does is 1,100 is 17,766. Like it's just over 1 million. Nothing has over 1 million health.
Okay, so it's for all intents and purposes in the game, it's unlimited damage. You're gonna get killed in one hit.
Yeah, basically, like you can send your commander up to a juggernaut and degun it, and it'll die in one hit.
Now that's a risk that you have to take because if your commander dies during that exchange, you can't get him back.
You can res the commander
with a Lazarus.
With a Lazarus.
Oh wow, that's good to know.
I've done that before. But like it is a risk because you are putting like your game winning tokens in danger. So it is a kind of like if you don't win that fight and are able to res the commander back up, you have lost the commander. And the thing about losing a commander is the reclaim for a commander used to be 2,000 metal. That's a ridiculous amount of metal for viewers that are unaware.
Mhm.
So you kill a commander, you get the reclaim on that. That is a big boost to your economy, and that is a big loss to the enemy who lost it, because now he doesn't have the 300 build power the commander has. He doesn't have all the metal that the commander's worth. You know, you've blundered really hard when you lose a commander and you can't reclaim him.
Which is why your commander's positioning matters the most. It's
Definitely.
a very valuable character. So at the beginning, in the first 20 minutes of the game, you kind of want it at the front line. You don't want it obviously soaking up damage, but you want it literally right behind the guy in the front because you can back it up with all sorts of fortifications. You can put up radars, you can put up turrets, anti-airs, uh, little fortifications to make people take less damage.
Mm-hmm.
The commander has a lot of very good options, and with its high build power, it's kind of doing yourself a disservice to not put him in the front, because unless you put 3 or 4 constructors who are very slow and have no offense at all,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're not going to make up for the commander just being right up there.
Mm-hmm. Commander's an invaluable tool, and they've kind of like metered his power by not letting him build everything a tier 1 constructor can build. Basically, you only get half of the stuff a tier 1 constructor can
Right,
build.
you can't build a Sneaky Pete, which is a radar jamming field.
Mm-hmm. You can build a radar, but you can't build the jammer.
Mm-hmm.
You can build the bot labs, but you can't build the T2 bot labs. And you can build walls, but you can't build construction turrets, which have like 200 build power, so they're very good like to build around stuff. So that's why you got to take up a tier 1 constructor with your commander, and it's I love this game. I love this freaking game. There's just so much layers to it and so much stuff going on with it. And these are all the maps for all our video viewers, our audio viewers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling down the map or the map list as we talk. There's, I don't know, 50 plus maps. The game is updated according. What do you say, Peter?
There's so much more because there's a map pack that you can download that aren't some of those maps aren't even listed here.
So these are just the ones that ship with the free download.
Exactly.
Did you hear that, everyone? Free. This game is free. We should have put that up at the front to encourage people to go, try it out.
Free.
Now, unfortunately, it's not on your favorite game distributing platform yet. You will have to go to beyondallreason.info, or you can just Google Beyond All Reason and find the website if you don't figure or you don't like typing in .info for whatever reason. And you can just download the game for free. According to the website, it's updated several times a day, if not just every single day. The game is very, very polished. When did this game first come out?
Oh, I don't even know now that I think about it. It's been in development since 2010 as like a mod for Total Annihilation. But
it started as a mod. That makes sense.
But let me see. Let me do some research. Maybe 2016.
Okay, well that's still a big chunk of time. The game, the first map we played today, it's a new map. It's called Jade Empress. It's so pretty. If you zoom in to like the maximum distance or the minimum distance, whatever, I don't know what the correct. But if you zoom in all the way, you can see the grass flowing in the wind. You can see the individual leaves on the ferns. The rocks have texture. The water, it crashes against the rocks in the little tide. It is way too detailed for a game that you play at essentially orbital view, because you're never zooming in on combat unless you have to move something very, very fine-tuned. So it's very impressive the amount of detail they put, because the team seems to care about this. And speaking of the team, The team is stupidly small. I think it's 16 people. I'm gonna pull up the little page for them right now because
Yeah, it's about
it, it's
16
it's
people.
it's an indie game. For all intents and purposes, it's
It's an
developed
indie
by
game
just
in alpha.
what'd you say?
It's an indie game that's in alpha. So it's like the
Here's the
team
list
is
of the
really
staff.
small. We got
Uh,
Arcturus, we got Damgam, we got Ice Quick. I'm gonna say Ice Quick. Behirith, P-Tac. P-Tac is a really cool guy. He's been
we
in the
mentioned
Discord.
P-Tac earlier. It's a community lead, right?
Yes, P-Tac is one of the guys that is really on top of organizing events for Bar, organizing tournaments, organizing all this stuff. He's basically like your PR guy, and he does a really good job at it.
How do they monetize this game?
They sell merch, and they take donations.
Merchant donations. That's good.
That's
These people
basically it.
definitely deserve it.
And these guys are true heroes to the genre because they are people that have played their favorite game and they just love what they do. They love the game and it shows in their work. And I'm super happy and like proud to be part of this community, even though it gets a little toxic sometimes. I've been told to go play Minecraft a couple times, but you know, I'm proud to be when I go into the Discord and I see people trying to help other people learn how to play and better their play, and all the suggestions that they leave the developers and all the conversations that are had about this game. It's so nice to be a part of this community in the ground floor. You know, you're watching something
Absolutely.
grow.
I'm happy because since I think it's probably been about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks since you mentioned and got me to install the game, and already the commanders have been slightly reworked. You said the metal changes as well as their health.
Mhm.
There's
Commander
been a
update came
bunch of
out.
new maps, official maps too. I assume you could make a map and have it submitted to them and be like, hey, look, I made this map. Can you put it in the game? And as long as it passes their quality test.
I'm sure there's going to be like a map editing function when the game comes out of alpha, but right now I think it's I forget his name, but there's the lead map designer and he does amazing work. What he is doing good work when it comes to the way he makes maps. That one.
Nikuxis.
Nikuxis.
That's an interesting username.
He is doing great work because all the maps feel fair and balanced and all this. It's all good stuff. And yeah, I don't think we even mentioned the other part that I appreciate about this game is on top of your PvP and your PvE against the bot, which is basically like PvP light, you have scavenger mode and raptor mode, which is basically like your horde settings. So you have scavengers.
So what is scavenger mode?
So scavenger mode is basically like, I've called it piss off the boss mode, because basically you get dropped into a map, you get 5 to 10 minutes to like build your base up and get ready, and then hordes of purple enemies are going to come at you and try to kick your ass. And the more you defeat these purple enemies, the more the boss gets angered. He's got an anger meter. And when he gets to 100%, the boss will spawn on the map and you have to kill the boss.
Oh, how many players can you have, like teammates?
As many as you want, I believe. I think you can have up to 16 with you. I've done a run with 8 people and it was amazing.
I'm clicking through these images, unfortunately for the audio listener, but the map seems to be covered in a pink haze and it's very hard to see part of the gameplay.
Because they've been trying to like build up this mystery with this. They have put so much. I love them. I get lost for words when I think about these guys because they're trying to build up the mystique of the scavengers, and they're trying to like make them mysterious, and they are mysterious. Like, who are these guys? Like you have your two main factions, the Armada and the Cortex, that are just fighting each other, and then you got the scavengers that come in and pick up the remains. And basically, like they come in and just like pick everything up and try to kill you.
They're hostile for their territory and to get additional things to scavenge.
Exactly. So this is a really fun mode that I've played a couple times. You got this pink haze around everything. You have like different mechanics. The enemy will throw, like you have your tier 1, your tier 2, and your tier 3. The enemy can go up to tier 4. And you'll have
tier
flying
4
battleships and crap like that.
Oh, okay. I just got to
There it
that
is.
in the
There's
intel.
There it is.
Just clicking through the units for the visual listener. There's a whole bunch of corrupted and totally slapped together scavenger looking robots, but they all have pink and purplish paint and glowing lights. They're pretty intimidating while looking pretty cool. I think their theming is like Evil Saints Row.
Oh yeah. And if you go
I guess without all the bling though.
Oh yeah. There's the quad cannon. Couple more. There's the massive tier 1 bomber. Like they took the tier 1 bomber and they scaled it up 5 times.
Wow, this is impressive.
There's the Megapon.
He's all beefy and stuff.
This is my favorite unit. This is a flagship that's supposed to be in the ocean. They put jet thrusters underneath it, and now it can fly anywhere on the map.
Wow, the scavengers are resourceful and intelligent.
These things are scary when they come out, because they'll spawn 5 at a time around the boss, and you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then the nuke ball, which is like a little tumbleweed, which is like about this size, it becomes this size, and it's basically a nuke that's rolling towards you.
It just rolls. So it doesn't travel through the air or drop on you. It just rolls at you and then nukes you.
This mega tumbleweed, what we're looking at right now, is like a rolling nuke of death. It just menacingly rolls at you at like 5 miles an hour. It has so much HP, and it's just so like the blast radius is so huge that it's like, how do you deal with this thing?
What are your options against this?
I would say pulsars, like your tachyon lances.
What are those? I've never even heard of them.
Oh, well, let's get a visual for them. You go into units and I believe structures.
All right, I'll pull them.
They're basically like your tier 2 mega defenses. They're almost like your tier 3 defense. So defenses.
Tier 3 defenses?
Almost.
So, what are defenses? Just like your turrets and mines and stuff?
Say again?
So what are your defenses? Just turrets and mines and stuff?
Basically. You got your artillery pieces, you got your torpedo launchers, there's the Juno.
Oh, okay. This is quite an array of things. And this is just the Armada faction. The Cortex has a completely different set of units.
They all relatively function the same way. Like you have your counterparts, but like stats will be tweaked. And aesthetics will obviously be different. So it's right there. There you go.
The Pulsar.
It's
a large laser tower that delivers a devastating amount of damage. Build multiple to take out tier 3 unit before it can reach your base. It can take out most unit, including tier 3 units, with enough hits, and it's high enough to shoot over other defensive structures. So the game has a kind of a silent height mechanic. Your structures and defenses and things are built like 10 feet off the ground, and obviously if you have a turret right behind another turret and they're both 10 feet tall, if both of them are trying to shoot something that's 20 feet away, the one behind the turret isn't going to be able to shoot. It just will not, unless it's going to shoot the turret in front of it and destroy it. So it's important to have your turrets spread out in kind of like a network.
Unfortunately, they will take each other out. I've had that happen a couple times. In the last game we played, I blew up my own radar tower because I built an artillery piece right next to it, and it fires in 360 degrees. So eventually the enemy got into a point where it was like, oh, you are here. I am there, and the radar is right in between. So guess where the bullet hit?
Oh, that makes sense. Whoops.
Oh,
Miscalculation.
oh, your basilicas. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember these.
in the last game that we played, I I was doing the unit spam and the front line, and to back up my units whenever they were being just completely destroyed and my line was breaking, I wanted to make sure I had a line of turrets. So once I teched up tier 2, I decided to start building these turrets called basilas, which are just essentially 25-foot tall railguns. They just they shoot so far and they shoot so hard. And I built about 6 of them right at the front line, and then another group of 3 down in this like hidden little corner. The 6 at the front line handled anything that was coming around the donut because if they weren't being destroyed by Peter's air units and his artillery that was on the donut hole, which was just a big mountain, units would come around the donut to my side, and they would just be hit by these giant railguns, killing them almost instantly because it does thousands of damage, which is a lot for units. Most units only have a couple hundred health, if that.
I also find it so funny because these turrets are normally not frontline turrets. They're usually like your big meaty artillery that sit in the center of your base and like shoot at high value targets. And I see Annie plop down 6 of them on the front line, and I'm like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, friend?" And it worked. I had no further questions once I saw the enemy melt. But I was like, that is not normally how you use that. But
It was
if it
probably a
works, it
risky
works.
strategy, for sure.
If it works, it works.
If they
I
would have
think you.
sent more tanks at me, I probably would have lost the first one and then probably stopped because I would have panicked. But once
it
I got
worked.
that first one up, oof, it started
But it worked.
pounding them.
That's the problem. Is it works? So you were just like, I'm gonna keep doing this.
And like I said, I built a second little battery of them, nice little 3 of them down in this little corner, and it had sightline almost all the way to the very back corner where one of their bases was. And as soon as those 3 turrets up, they just started pounding right at the edge of their side of the donut. And
Mhm.
I don't know whether they knew what was happening or if I caught them off guard or if the enemy AI was just dumb, but my 3 basilas that were planted in that corner just kept pounding rounds until suddenly I just see a nuclear explosion over there, and I'm like, oh, I think that was a commander. And yep, I killed the yellow team commander in I don't know how many shots, but I assume the last one was a direct hit.
Mm. And what do you call it? There's obviously a counter to this. You can always have your plasma shields, which the AI was not smart enough to build, but in a normal game, once the 16, 17-minute mark hits, you normally see people build up plasma shields on the front line in their base.
What's a plasma shield?
Right there. Keeper.
It's a keeper.
So
The keeper
basically,
is a
this thing-
shield generator that deflects plasma artillery and can take a lot of damage before going down. Build a few around your base to protect it from artillery, but beware, the shield does not deflect other unit weaponry such as bombs, lasers, or missiles. So this thing is basically specifically against Basila spam.
Basically, and like what the community affectionately calls the LOL cannon or the Ragnarok. I think for the other team it's called, I think for Cortex it's called, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like the rapid fire Gatling gun plasma cannon that you can build.
I was starting to build one at the end of the game, but I never went up. It takes a ton of material.
It takes so much. Like, those are game enders usually. Like, if your team gets one up and is able to fire it consistently, that thing ends games. There's not much you can do. Because they will melt through 5 of these keepers.
Does it shoot straight, or does it shoot like in an arc?
Well, all plasma shoots in a slight arc.
So can you shoot it over mountains?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's rather straight. It just kind of like droops down a little bit.
Makes sense.
So like those mountains that we were playing on that map would have totally blocked it. Right there, the Ragnarok, the big boy.
can also shoot air units?
No, I mean it can, but it's not effective. Like if an air unit just happens to be in the way, it'll get shot down. But this thing
Fair
is
enough.
a beast.
Every time I look at the list of units, and anytime I look at more information for this game, there is so much more to just discover. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not even halfway through that just overview of just the units for Cortexes. The guy also
No,
has like bases and turrets and economy buildings and tutorials for all that, and I plan on watching it because the more I know, the better I am going to be, and I'm going to be able to do things without asking questions and struggling. And whenever we do start playing against players, I don't want to be, just feeling like I'm underperforming.
Because that's the thing too, is the community will let you know when you're underperforming, and it's like, geez, guys, like I've had people like play in noob lobbies where the lobbies are titularly called noob lobby, no one over rank 25, and people will still get mad that people are not playing as well as they should. And it's kind of like, hey, I get it, you want to win, I want to win too, but I'm here to learn, so maybe we could take it down a notch, just a little bit. Oh, the chicken.
How does the ranking and stuff work in the game? I noticed whenever we play together, there's like a sort of account rank and like a skill rank. I'm just gonna stop assuming. Just how does the rank work?
So they have their own system. It's called the Open Skill Ranking rating. So basically, it takes your performance. So you will take your individual performance and like factor it in to how well you're playing, and it'll rate you based on that. And so basically, like if you play really well on a 4v4, it'll rank you higher than if you played really well on 8v8, because the system is not perfect, so it can't say like, oh, you definitely won that game for your team. There were many factors in that 8v8 game that calculated to your win. But like in a 4v4 game, like it's more easy to tell, like, hey, Peter led a tank rush that broke through the front line, we should bump him up a couple points.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And then it has a different rating for team, for 1v1s, and for free-for-all. So you'll have different ratings for all those game modes. So like I'm a 14 right now, embarrassingly enough, in team matches, but I'm like 11 in 1v1s.
Is the higher number better, I assume?
Higher number is better.
Okay, cool.
And then you get little chevrons based on how long you've been at a certain rank. Like the chevrons, I believe, have to do with your position on the leaderboard online. So the website will have a leaderboard.
So the website has a leaderboard, like for the PvP, and you can see who's doing the best?
Yep, top center.
Well, how often does the leaderboard refresh?
It refreshes with every game.
So, like, no, I meant like how many minutes does this refresh in?
I have no
Or maybe
idea.
I'm misunderstanding how the leaderboard works.
I think it's live.
Is it
pro
just
ranking
how
is the
many
top
match?
people.
Okay, it's based on your skill ranking. That makes sense. Okay, I see it.
Exactly. So like your open skill rank will put you on the leaderboard. And so if we look, the top like 6, I'm going to go to 6 because PTAC is number 6, and I appreciate that man, and I want to shout him out every time I can. But it's Pro Randy, it's Ragna, it's Tagzul, Stardom, Goopy, and PTAC. These are all people that like you'd be aware of if you were watching content based on this game, because they're all like big names that everybody like, oh, PTAC's playing, oh, Pro Randy's playing, we gotta stream his game, we gotta watch.
Oh,
And
okay,
if
that makes sense.
people
They're
are in
like
the lobby,
the top of the
everyone,
top, obviously.
It's easy to become like YouTube famous in this game because the community is so small and everybody making videos on it.
Mhm.
Like a guy called shoot, what was his name? I don't remember his name now. But I was playing with him, and everybody was like, "Hey, you know you're YouTube famous, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, kind of." And the
That's
guy
pretty
was like
cool.
ranked like 20, so not too high above me. But he's just like known for doing silly shit. So
So is there any other game modes just besides? I mean, we mentioned the scavengers mode, and then there's just the typical skirmish where you just send your bots to kill the other commanders. Is there any other interesting game modes?
there is scenarios where you have preset maps where you get
Oh,
to like
things that are already built.
most of the time. I think some of them you just start off like a regular game, but like there are scenarios where like, oh, you have to do this and you have to do that, and there are certain win conditions.
Oh, okay.
And there's chickens, which is the same. It's kind of similar to scavengers. It's affectionately known as chickens. I think the official name is
Chickens.
raptors. But like
Raptors.
in the older games, they were called space chickens or alien chickens.
So what is the
So
Alien Raptors mode?
it's almost the same as scavenger. I haven't played much of it, but it's basically like you get waves of incoming troops, of incoming aliens, and you gotta like take them out.
Oh, okay. So it's just like a horde defense.
Yeah, basically, it's like Firefight from Halo.
Ooh, is it endless?
I think it might be endless.
Oh, that's exciting. We should try that too. There's a lot of things we should try. This game's cool.
Definitely, whenever you are free, we can do this because I love playing this game. I spend way too much time on this game.
This is just a brief tease, but after we are done recording, I'm going to go play some Terraria. I don't know. It's like a dialect thing. I don't know. I would have to listen to the actual developers because it's another small team. I think it's currently 11 people. There was 12. I think it's 11 now. But it's just a tiny little team, and that's what I'm going to be playing after this. So that could
That's a
be a
lie. She's
future
playing bar with
episode.
me.
I'm sorry.
That's a lie. She's playing bar with me after this.
I will definitely be playing that later because I want to get better at this, and there's so many more things that I haven't even tried. Like I built a vehicle lab one game, and I think I got a couple of I don't know tanks maybe out, and then the game ended because at that point we had already rushed the enemy commanders so far that they didn't have any other options.
Mm. This game is just so cool, and I love it so much. And I want to see it grow, and I want to see it do well because the team that's developing this game deserves to have their art shine, and they deserve everything they're working towards. Like they have put you. This is a development team that you can tell play their games and love the game they're making.
If you could create and add a game mode to this, what would you come up with?
I'm really excited for the single player campaign they're adding. Like I really want more story. Something that I would like to see is it's kind of akin to the scenarios, but like I don't really know because it just feels so complete, except for the single player campaign. Like it's got everything I want. But I remember a game I used to play a lot when I was a kid was called Advanced Wars by Nintendo.
Mhm.
And it was your basic turn-based like build units, and it was like chess with tanks.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
Nintendo's made a million of those games, from Super Famicom Wars all the way to Tiny Metal now. But Advanced Wars was the game that I fell in love with when I was a kid. And they had this thing called the War Room, where basically you went up against an AI, again, on a certain map. The map was not favored towards you,
Hmm.
and you had to win. You had to beat him. You had to take the disadvantaged spot, and you had to beat the commander at his own game. And I think that's
Oh,
kind
that's
of what
cool.
they wanted. Yeah, I think that's what they kind of wanted to do with scenarios. But the scenarios feel kind of like, right now.
Mhm.
They're kind of not super fleshed out. They're kind of not like, I see what they're going for, but they all kind of evolve into the same kind of game. There's not much to it, so I would love to see that. And like, there was a scoring system in the war room where it would rank you like between S and C rank based on your performance, and you would earn currency based on that, and you would be able to buy new maps.
Ooh, that's cool.
Hmm. So I
Have
wouldn't say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
having unlockables in this game would be a great, and like once they put it in like official release mode, we'll just say once it's on Steam. I think it would
Hmm.
be a good idea for them to have I mean, they could do it for money if they wanted to, but have an in-game where you just play games and earn tokens. And it would be cool to upgrade or to be able to buy paint and skins and little like decals for your units. So
They
they would
have.
still either clearly be blue or be red to signify whether they're Armada or Cortex,
Hmm.
but you would be able to like paint them instead of gray, you can have them all green and have the blue lights on them.
Hmm. They have like this little thing they're doing for like the bigger players. Well, they'll give their commanders little hats.
Ooh,
Like, I know
that's
one player
cool.
has a Viking helmet on his commander,
Oh, that's awesome.
right? And that's what I want. I want customization for your commander. I want to personalize my commander.
Oh yeah, if you could just if you there was like a commander menu and you could just like build your commander. And you just
Hmm.
get a bunch of different parts. Now see that's yeah, that you could just have the currency system I mentioned, but just for all of your commander upgrades, because you could just have them completely customizable. Because when
And
you zoom in, like I said, you can zoom in really, really far. There's a lot of detail on some of these models.
mhm. I would love to see more customization because it's just like for tournament winners right now.
Mhm.
Like, the highest ranked players have like little hats for the commanders. I want a hat. I'm not that good, but I want a hat. I want a barbarian hat. That's not fair. And I want to, like, I would love to see customization for the units, not too much, because then it throws off like, what are you looking at? But I do want to see some customization for like the paint jobs and like skins I can give my units. Because if I'm rolling a juggernaut through your base, I want you to know that it's Peter underscore Grins Juggernaut. I want
Yeah,
my
right.
signature paint job. Like, I want
Like
you
a
to
flag,
know
like one of
that
those
my
long flags they have on planes when they fly through the sky, but you just that hanging off with your name on it. Big old war banners.
when I send a nuclear bomber through your base, it's gonna have a big old banner on the butt that says, "Haha, you got Peter Grins."
That's
Oh,
great.
I would love that. And depending on the how good the single player is, which I have no doubt is going to be amazing, I would pay for DLC for expanded campaigns. And I'm
Oh,
really excited because I'm sorry to cut you off. Go
no,
ahead.
you're good. No, no. I was just saying I'd be willing to pay for anything basically they
They
offer.
have a third faction in the works.
Ooh.
They have a third faction called Legion that is kind of in the works. It's a special, like, you can set the settings for your lobby a little different, and you can allow them to be playable. They're like half built right now. They share half their units with Cortex, and then they have their own units. One of the units they have that I really like is, I was watching this video yesterday. They have a bomber that drops landmines.
Ooh.
Right,
So
right.
they're
Isn't
like
that
they're like just delayed bombs.
exactly? So you could just like,
Drop
you know,
mines from the sky. That's great.
because like, sometimes I'm the air player and I don't have time to build a vehicle lab for the little landline layer. So now I can just build a little bomber, and he comes in and he just lays mines wherever I want.
That's really cool.
It's so cool. And this game is amazing. I love it. Like, you can tell because I'm never this like vocal about a game. I
Right, yeah,
haven't.
this is the first game that you've really taken the most, like, headway, which is why I wanted to play this game. You said, "Hey, I like this game," and I said, "Okay, tell me about it. I wanna get into it because I wanna play a game that you like because, you're my co-host. I want you
Mhm,
this isn't just my show, it's our show. I want you to be into the games that we're playing."
exactly. I really appreciate you letting me like pick a game and take the lead on this because I just want to talk about this game for hours. This is such a good game, and everything they're doing is, like, I feel is right and correct. And you know, a lot of times we look at game developers and we say they're not doing the game justice. They don't play their games. You know, there's always seems to be a disconnect between the AAA developers and the games they're shipping out. And this is
Not here.
no, it's just not. That's not what's happening here.
PTAC is literally one of the top 6. That's the community lead. He's both spearing up, making sure the community is chill and has the resources and the help and, you know, the information they need. And
he's also
then
kicking
whenever
our
he's
ass.
also that, he's also crushing noobs.
He's also kicking our asses every so often. And there's been videos of like pros versus dev games where like the developers will go up against like pro players in like this genre, and like it's a good match to watch. And we're just looking through all the maps really quick, and these maps are just so beautiful and so well done. Flowsome Dam is a really good one.
There's so many
Gehenna
there's so
Rising.
many varieties too, like in shape and flow with terrain. As some of the graphics have come up, we haven't really talked about them. I'm just scrolling through things for anyone that's watching. But there is terrain that really matters. Some of it is impassable to most units. The water is impassable to most units. So you really have to think in certain maps. How am I going to get to certain places? What are the lanes available to me? What are the core areas I need to defend? What is my role?
What? Yeah, because a lot of people get confused as to what their role is, and I know on Supreme Straits, like the Navy player is very misunderstood because the running joke is like people who play bar are aquaphobic. No one wants to play Navy. No one wants to touch Navy. Navy is just this thing that people don't understand and don't want to learn. And like me, as like I want to say I'm like a little bit of a Navy main.
Mhm.
Like I play a lot of the sea lanes, and like I know what I'm doing. You don't have to tell me what I'm doing. A lot of people be like, you need to support the front. You need to do that. I'm like, you got 4 people supporting your front. Like I need to take care of my lane, and when my lane is won, I'll think about helping you, or I'll think about winning
I
the
gotta
game.
focus on me first.
You know, because if I lose the sea, you guys are fucked. So I can't divert units to help you right now. Like I need to win my lane, and it's a lot of it is similar to League, in the sense of because League was born from
Real-time
RTS
strategies.
games.
Yeah.
A lot of League was born from like mods of different strategy. Like I know Dota 2 or Dota in general was a World of Warcraft mod before it became its full-fledged own game.
Right.
So, you know, there is the thought of like lanes and like places where you have to defend, and this is my lane and this is what I do here, and only certain strategies work on certain lanes. And the difference between that and League is that there's multiple maps that you got to learn instead of League's one. Also, fun fact, they have the League map in this game.
Really? That's cool.
It's called Rifted.
Oh, hey,
Right
look at that. We just came across it.
Right there.
This is literally Summoner's Rift. You got the Baron Pit here. I apologize to the audio listeners. But hey, if you've ever played League of Legends, you can imagine Summoner's Rift immediately. They've got the Baron Pit, the Dragon Pit. I mean, it's just a two-way symmetrical map, and it's definitely Summoner's Rift. There's no debate about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. The
And just-
variety of maps is very impressive.
Mm-hmm. I love this game. It's just Tempest is a good map. Theta Crystals is a map that I've played a lot.
I think a game mode that they could add that would be interesting is a sort of territories game mode. Everybody has their own little base and where they spawn or whatever, but you have to hold the majority of units in an area, and it's like King of the Hill or
Ooh,
territories.
yes. That's
you
a game mode that has existed in Age of Empires for a long time. I think it was called King of the Hill or like Monuments or something like that, where basically you have like a big cathedral in the center of the map and you have to control it.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. You just either have one place you can test or a couple, and you have to have the most units in there per second, and then the person with the most units is gaining points. And then you can have a pro version of the map where nobody is gaining points if it's contested. So you have to have complete control of the zone. Really easy. And you could have it so the commander dying is a win condition instead of just earning X amount of points. Or you could have the commander dieable or killable, and it doesn't remove you from the game. You're just put on like pause, like your entire team is, or your, sorry. So when your commander dies, instead of you being kicked from the game, every single one of your units should be EMP'd for like a minute. So if all of your units get killed during that EMP, whatever, but then after that 1 minute, your commander comes back.
Quick thing, when your commander dies, it's not like Supreme Commander where you're kicked out of the game. You can still play.
That's why I'm saying I think all of your units should be EMP'd, because it should be a penalty for your commander being killed, but you don't just lose and, like all of your units die and you can't put your commander back and you're no longer earning points because you're not really a player. You just are put on timeout because your commander died, and then your commander comes back through magic necromancy. Or bot necromancy.
Like a respawn.
Exactly, like a respawn. So you wouldn't be kicked from the game because the whole goal of winning would be the points, because it'd be a different objective. Killing the commander is a bonus, but not the objective.
And like,
there's so many game modes that this game could have that would make it so enticing.
You just kind of cut out. Are you still there? Hello? Well, it looks like she cut out but I'm going to say that we're looking at a map on screen called Throne right now, which would be perfect for the game mode that she's referring to, because it's got 3 layers to it. It's got ramps on it, and the center is the highest point where you could put a monument there and control it. And I think that would be very cool. Other than that, I think that more game modes should come to the game, because I think that would be a very good idea. It's just me now. Cool. I think that more game modes can come to the game and be perfect and complement the game's style and what they're trying to do. And I also feel that a lot of what they're doing is, I've said it a million times already, like what they're doing is correct and good. And I very much appreciate the effort they're putting into this game. Yeah, different win conditions would be a good idea. And yeah. So I don't know if Annie's coming back. I don't know if hold on, she's messaging me on Discord. I'm just gonna tell her I'm gonna end the show.
Hello?
Oh, okay, you're back. Cool.
I am so sorry about that. We're definitely gonna have to cut that part out.
No, wait, I was really carrying the show for a minute there. I was really doing my...
Okay, well then, I'll leave it in there. For everyone, in case Peter didn't explain it, I clearly disconnected. Don't know what happened. Since the show's run on the internet, thank God StreamYard handled it and didn't just immediately lose the whole broadcast. So thank you, StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard's lawyers.
Yeah, no kidding. Appreciate you. No, we can definitely cut that out. But because I didn't say anything much of value. But I agree with you. I think that different game modes would be cool. Like different win conditions, I guess, is kind of what we're more talking about.
Absolutely, yeah. Because, just the standard beat your opponent is great, but it won't necessarily have infinite longevity. Having game modes and having the option for community to add their own ideas and even their own assets. Like I mentioned, if somebody created their own map and they shipped it to the developers and said, hey, look at this, and it met their standards, why not add it to the game? There's so many maps already, and it wouldn't hurt them. It would actually just boost it, especially if you had like a rotating just community playlist with the community days and things like that to drive the community to say, hey, look at this, maybe go make your own stuff.
That's definitely something that has kept Age of Empires 2 alive. That game came out in, I think, like 2007 or something. Let me actually look it up so I don't spit out like false information. Age of Empires
I never played that game, but my friend as a child, he was really into Age of Empires and um, I can't remember the other one. Total something Rome.
Total War. Total
Yeah,
War Rome was amazing.
yeah,
Completely different type of game, but
yeah,
very.
but yeah.
1999 is when Age of Empires 2 came out, and
Whew,
it's
wow.
still going strong. People are still playing that game. People still love that game because of the buy-in that people have, where they can make their own maps, they can make their own game modes, they can make their own personal lobby where they can customize it however they want. They have a map
Hmm.
editor that my
Ooh,
dad is really big on. My dad loves making maps on Age of Empires 2. He still plays that game to this day.
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I think what really kept that game going is that it was well built and the community buy-in. Like people could buy into this game and make maps, and other people would play that map and say like, "Wow, this is a cool map. Look who made it." You know, there's got to be that buy-in, because if I'm just
Yeah.
playing 8v8 straights all the time and I can't customize my commander, I can't like customize anything, or I can't even make my own maps, like I'm gonna get bored eventually.
Right. The only difference you can do each game is switch up your strategy or which role you're playing. But I
Mhm.
mean, if we'll just fast forward 5 years in the future, if you've played 2,000 games, I mean, how
I've
many more
done everything.
unique games can you have?
I've done everything on straights. It's
Yeah.
not, yeah. So I want the community to branch out, because all they do now is they'll play Supreme Straights and they'll play a map called All That Glitters, and it's like those are good maps. Don't get me wrong, but the game has so much more to it. Like I want to play different maps. Like I want to do different things. I want to
Capture the flag.
capture the flag, my dude.
Your commander can't move. Your commander is a flag. You have to bring your commander or the enemy's commander to your base, and then the commander dies and you win.
And that works really well because you can transport the commanders with air transports.
Yeah, I think it would be a great game mode. What good staple game doesn't have capture the flag?
That is true. Most games have most games that stick around have capture the flag.
It's an ageless game mode.
Quintessential to success, definitely.
Well, we're probably gonna wrap up here soon.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in next week in playing Terraria and talking about that?
Yeah, I could do some Terraria.
All right. Well, we're not gonna, write that in stone or anything. Again, it's just a tease. It's a game we'll definitely talk about in the future, if not next week. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Apologies for the little hiccups here and there. But you should definitely check out BAR, Beyond All Reason. This game is super cool, and even if you're not into real-time strategies, you definitely should give it a try. Watch a little bit of videos or go to the website. I was scrolling through it throughout the video, and you can see you can see all the units, you can see a bunch of tutorial videos. Everything you need to know is right there. And if you did 2 hours before you played your first game, I guarantee you'll have a great time, because that's what I did, and I'm pretty confident about that.
A lot of people will ask you, like, have you watched Winter Gaming on YouTube? When you start your first game,
Mhm.
you'll say like, oh, I'm pretty new, I've only played bots, and it's like, have you watched Winter? Have you watched Drongo? Have you gone on the website? And most people say like, yeah, I've done my due diligence, like I've done my research. And it's amazing to see the support that this game has outside of the game, like all the resources that are available, the Discord, the website. Like it has unit breakdowns of like their stats. They have 3D models that you can spin around, and you can even compare units.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I did see the units were pretty in depth in there. They got stats. You can see their movement, their DPS, their range.
A lot of times they will put like the other faction's counterpart underneath too. Is like, oh, if there's a bull,
Ooh, nice.
if there's a bull tank, you'll see the tiger tank from the other side. Or here's a pawn, the counterpart is the grunt. The website is very in-depth and very helpful. It has a bunch of guides on how to, like, this is not a game where they put it out and they're like, yeah, just figure out my game. They want to teach you how to play their game. And I think that's a really important part to making a complex game is making sure your players know how to play it.
I didn't touch on this in my Warframe episode, but something that Warframe has a problem with is it has so much info. There's so many stats and percentages and effects and combos and synergies. And unless you play hundreds of hours, you're not going to know about this. And your only option outside of that is to go to the Wikia, which is one of the most fan kept things. It's so thorough. But all of that information is on a fan made website. It's completely different for Beyond All Reason. The website has every bit of information that these videos that I've watched has, but the videos are just a lot more detailed because it's a fan regurgitating the info with their own personal information and sometimes their own professional opinion on it. So if you want to get into this game, definitely go look at some of these resources. Go to the website. I will link the stuff in the description for the episode. So if you want to check it out, again, it's free. Go play at least one game.
Support these guys because they are doing amazing work, and there's a labor of love with these guys.
Peter, do you have any closing thoughts or comments or anything?
Not really. I was gonna say one
Okay.
me on Rust, but that's a whole nother episode.
Is there anything else you want to plug besides just going and supporting the developers?
Definitely go support the developers. Join the Discord. I think we can put a Discord link on our video. And I sometimes stream Bar if you guys want to watch me get wrecked every so often.
And they can find you on Twitch.
/Peter_grins.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pete, for joining, and thank you for showing me Bar. And I hope to see you next week. See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.